Tom, I'm going to get you to just talk about your situation. I've assisted Tom just occasionally. I go watch practice, and can you tell your story about taking over this team? They had a young coach, and they railroaded her off the team, and the team was struggling. So, of course, Tom stepped in and give a bit of background there because it's all about the problems that we're talking about and trying to deal with. And when you're as experienced as we are, you have the answers. But we made the same mistakes when we were coaching. So, Tom, can you share that story here for the boys?
Well, what I was doing is I was assistant coach for the men's college team, and I coached the Mount Royal women 10 years before until I went to Salzburg, Austria with the Red Bulls. And the players rebelled against this girl. She was hardly older than any of them. She'd coached not very much and hadn't even done very well. It was odd that she had this job. But anyways, the players wrote a 14-page complaint about her. And they ended up releasing her at Christmas, had to pay her out. And they asked me to take over. So I was doing the men and the women, helping with the men and coaching the women. And anyway, they'd only won 3 games in a year and a half. And Mike Kennedy, a former NHLer, he helped me. And we went 6-6. We caught the last place playoff spot, but the tiebreaker we lost, it was regulation wins. So we didn't make the playoffs. So anyways, just an aside, as they promised to pay me as a head coach, and they never have, and I'm asking for the money now. But anyways, I ended up being the head coach for the next 3 years of the team. And of course, first year we made the playoffs, and then COVID, we got shut right down. We practiced for, until start of November, I think, then got shut down. And so anyways, they didn't renew me. They wanted a female coach, and they hired a girl with exactly the same background as the one they got rid of. She's 23 years old. Some of the players played against her. She coached 1 year and came in last place last year. And she just took over. So anyways, looks like it's going to be not a very great year, but that's my story with this women's team.
Well, Tom, I know you're upset, and rightfully so, about not getting the job, but I've talked to a couple of friends. One of them lost his job. He wanted to stay on. He was the manager of a McMahon Stadium. That's a big football stadium in here, and he is really active. This guy's done marathons and whatnot. He didn't want to retire, and they forced him to because, as they told him, he was too old. So he argued the case, and he managed to get a year and a half of payout. And he's still looking to do some stuff in hockey, and he's voluntarily mentored and done a great job. But there's that disconnect between people our age and people who are in the trenches trying to make the game better. And we haven't really connected. And I don't know whether it's a common thing when you reach our ages where your usefulness and purposefulness tend to slip through the cracks. But Tom, I don't know if you would talk about, and then we'll turn it over to Mike, but the email, one of his former players wrote an email. She did an assignment in a leadership class at her school. Tom had coached her for, I don't know for whether it was 2 years.
Just last year.
Just last year. And when you read that email, if any one of us got it, we could die tomorrow and go to heaven. It was like the most complimentary email I've ever read. But it's nothing that didn't surprise me because I watched the way Tom coached. But when you don't win and you don't get results, and the players, some of the players and administration doesn't know what they're there for in terms of total development of people plus becoming better players. That's what happens. So, Tom, can you talk a bit about the things that you might be embarrassed about that she said? But go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I don't know. She just said nice thing after nice thing. She did her own research on me, and a few things she got mixed up. Like she thought I was a captain at Bemidji, but I was never a captain. I was captain of other teams, but never at Bemidji. And anyway, this poor girl. I mean, I recruited her just before that first COVID year that we only practiced a bit. And the day before she came, she's a farm girl, really strong girl, farm girl from Saskatchewan. And her neighbor was going to pay somebody $300 to prune his tree. And her boyfriend said, "You don't have to do that. I'll go and prune it." Well, he fell out of the tree and died. So of course, she didn't come for a few weeks. She was pretty upset. I don't blame her. But anyways, she just, I don't know. She's just a hardworking, hard-nosed, pretty good player, and wrote a really nice. She had to do something on leadership and picked somebody as an example. So she picked me, and it was very, very complimentary. And but she started off the thing saying, "Please come back." The girls think I retired, but the guy didn't renew me. He What happened is we made the playoffs, and then we had a good chance of winning that COVID year where there was no games. There's nothing because I had 3/4 of the team back and the two best players, two all-stars, the leading scorer and the top goalie. But then because there's so many 2-year programs, only about 6 of those girls now returned again, and you're trying to recruit and nobody's playing. Like there was nobody playing, and I had a team last year where half of them weren't really good enough for the league, and only 2 of the returning players were really on the top half of the team. So weren't very good, and we didn't do very well. But we had a good year. The girls had fun and all that. But anyways, that's the way she goes in hockey. But
I'm going to read something here that she wrote, and I'm looking at the document. It's an assignment in a leadership class that she gets credit for doing, and she quotes different authors on leadership, and she says, as we see in Module 1 with leadership effectiveness, connecting results and relationships gives us leadership effectiveness. And that's by Linden, 2019. Tom created relationships with all of us before he worried about the results. He wanted to gain our trust, commitment, and to get to know each of us better. Once he had developed a relationship with all of us, he started to focus on the results. Tom, the results weren't for us to win the championship, although it would be a great bonus. Tom wanted us to become better players and people, and with practicing, team bonding, and our academic focus, by the end of the season, he accomplished this. Tom absolutely nails the definition of leadership effectiveness. He created something with the team that I've never experienced. So, Tom, I just wanted to share that. I'm going to send the document out for anybody who wants to take the time. But when you receive letters like that, and Pete and hell, I'm sure you've run into kids that you coached years ago, and they come up to you and smile and greet you in a welcoming way. That's worth more than any money you get for being paid to coach. So, Mike Benelli, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Wally. So that, yeah, and those kind of emails are great. And obviously, Tom, congratulations on making such a great impact in such a short period of time. So obviously, that's a great tribute to you. The reason I wanted to chime in is, well, twofold. Number one, from the Tom Molloy side, Pete, just to let you, he's the Facebook drill sharing guru. So so Tom, it was funny. I was doing a coaching introduction to coach them to a program down in Connecticut this past Monday, and everyone in the group had known your site, so it was great to see that they go, oh yeah, we steal all his drills.